It's Waxing Lyrical, baby.
Hello, Waxers, and welcome to Waxing Lyrical with Mains and Dutch. I'm your host, Mains, and my colleague, designer of the new Cristiano Ronaldo head, Mr. Neil Dutton. How are we, Neil?
That has made me feel so much better about my pathetic attempts at art over the years. It looks like Eric Morecambe without the glasses.
It looks like, I think it was a character in Art Attack, / someone from Spitting Image, / Eric Morecambe. For those who aren't aware, Cristiano Ronaldo from Madeira, they named the airport after him and put a statue of his head. It doesn't look like Chris. It looks like it's supposed to be like a smirky Cristiano Ronaldo. It doesn't look anything like him whatsoever.
Friend of the pod, Henry Hodgson, says it was basically Exhibit A in why football will never have a Hall of Fame.
Yeah, could you imagine? Oh God, yeah, I didn't think about it like that. Very good point by Henry. The amount of stupid busts we'd have that would look awful. Has anyone ever gone through the Hall of Fame and took pictures and gone, this looks nothing like this guy?
No, it's on my bucket list to do so. I literally take a catalogue of photos of them and just look at them just like, nah.
So Dutton, quiet week. So we're going no holds barred, Dutton. It's WrestleMania week, but that's got nothing to do with it. So we got 3 big topics, I guess, around the NFL at the moment, or we think so, and we wanted to talk about them in a no holds barred sense, because no one can kick us off a show because it's our show and we can do what we want.
Yeah, come on, the man.
The man, yeah, the man doesn't affect us. There's no third floor looking down on us. There's just a floor above where our fiancés shout angrily because we're making too much noise.
Yeah, they are the real shadowy figures.
They are shadowy. Before that, no, it's the off season, so it's got to be Weird World. And have I got a couple of classics for you? Both of them sex-related humour, two of our favourite subjects.
Go for the low-hanging fruit.
It's so easy. It's got to be done. I suppose if we start first, Dutton, it's Weird World. Where else would you go? You've got to be in Florida, right? What's the strangest thing anyone's ever offered you in a fast food restaurant?
In a fast food restaurant? Strangest thing? Probably warm chips at McDonald's.
Okay, well, a Florida woman was arrested last Thursday. She offered an undercover police officer oral sex in exchange for Taco Bell. Ready for great name alert. Buffy Suzanne Byron, 47. Now, if she was like 23, it'd be like her parents watch Buffy, but no, she's 47. Maybe she changed her name to Buffy after watching Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Probably looks nothing like her.
Approached an undercover police officer who was posing as a customer. Don't know why. Not sure why he's in there. Not sure if there's a drug ring in Taco Bell. Allegedly, don't know that. She offered the sex act in exchange for 2 soft tacos. The irony of that is not lost on me. An order which would have cost her $2.14.
Well, that's a bargain at any price.
Brian was arrested and charged with offering, committing, or engaging in prostitution or It was the 9th time she'd been arrested for prostitution. So maybe he was an undercover cop waiting to be accosted by Buffy.
See, I've been hungry in the past, and as much like a mutual friend of several mutual friends of ours, I do suffer from the condition known as being hangry, which is when you're so hungry you're angry. I've never ever solicited, should we say, for tacos to anyone, and before anyone, if anyone calls me up on that, other food is available. I didn't ask for that either.
Can I ask a question? No, Dalton, say you had soft tacos, would you give them away for said sexual act?
Not from any woman on the planet. I love my soft shell tacos.
That's a fair call, Dalton. If you didn't have a fiancée, Dalton, and it was the 1980s, you'd probably have a lot of porn.
Nothing sweeping about that one.
But definitive proof that too much pornography is bad to your health was after a man was found dead under a 6-ton collection of porn magazines. I checked with our friend Gary Kaep. It's not Gaz, he is alive and well. Admittedly, I love the article. Admittedly, 6 tons is quite a lot, especially in the digital age. But these things can be hard to throw out. So this reminds me, don't of one of our favourite films, which is Chasing Amy, Kevin Smith, Jay and Silent Bob fame, where the Jason Lee character goes for a sleepover, so to speak, with Ben Affleck. Not in that sense, and brings a big bag with him, and Ben asks what's in the bag, and he says the essentials, including his quote unquote stroke books. He asked why we brought more than one. And he said because you never know when you might what mood you're going to be in. It could be guy on girl, it could be girl on girl, it could be two guys.
Sometimes, just sometimes.
It could be chick with a horse. It could be chick with a horse, exactly, Dutton, which became our tagline for about a decade.
Indeed. Although not something we've ever engaged in or taken.
I've never watched.
No.
Or ever watch. Why would you watch such a disgusting act on? Could you imagine?
Horrible.
No, because he was found. This guy, 50-year-old, he was found by his cleaner. So his cleaner must know he's got 6 ton of porn. But then now she finds him dead underneath it, probably with his pants around his ankles. Let's be brutally honest about the subject. And all the magazines strewn open in what can only be described as a multitude of different angles.
You know how, sometimes you hear, especially with old people, when they shuffle off this mortal coil, the phrase, it's how he would have wanted to go. I'm fairly certain that phrase is not applicable to this.
No, I don't think he would have wanted to die under his own razzle.
Frightening.
As always, Waxers, if you've got a weird word story that you want us to talk about, tweet us. I'm at Mangy7, Dutton is at Dutton13, and combined we are at Waxing_Lyrical. We love the stories, they're hilarious, and they get us through the dark days of the off-season.
Not as much as 6 tons of porn could get you through it. But...
Unbelievable, don't it? It's called Google. We'll talk about it off air. If we move swiftly on to the NFL, Dutton, I think the 3 stories that you wanted to talk about, because you've got that kind of first take, Skip Bayless unleashed kind of angle on those 3 stories.
Shite?
Yeah, exactly. Talk shite really loudly and cause offence. And you wanted to talk about that on 3 separate subjects, and I did too, so we thought we'd do it. So let's get on with it, Dutton. So Dutton, the first hot take really is a player-related one, and a player who's already in the NFL. And that player is Colin Kaepernick and his lack of a job, I guess. Mm-hmm. So, talk me through it.
Well, it seems to be a polarising subject. The argument that people are bringing up is, how can Josh McCown, how can Geno Smith, how can Josh Johnson, how can Brian Hoyer, how can Matt Barkley, how can these type of players, how come they've all landed jobs this off-season, while Colin Kaepernick, 5 years removed from leading his team to a Super Bowl, how come he's still out on the street? Now, obviously Colin Kaepernick, brought attention to himself last year due to his political stance, kneeling during the national anthem. He also probably drew more attention to himself by not being very good at football. So the perception now is that he's being kept out of the league, collusion by the league, should we say, because of his political leanings. And, that teams are apparently petrified that if they sign him, President Dickhead is going to start tweeting about them. Do I generally think that people don't want to bring in Kaepernick because he's a distraction? Yes. Do I feel more they don't want to bring him in because A, they don't think he's starting caliber quarterback, and B, they don't want to have to change their offense completely should he have to play when the starter goes down? Yes. I just think that's more of an issue than the other one. But they do go hand in hand somewhat.
I think there's a couple of things on this. On the collusion side, if you don't think that all the NFL owners have said, I don't want any part of him because, as you said, he's quote unquote a distraction. Then you're naive to the nth degree. He would be a distraction only in the case of people would talk about him, and the NFL is conservative with a small c, and it doesn't want people talking about it for other things other than football, even if it's like, and especially when it's political type stuff. You know, the Donald tweets about effing Arnold Schwarzenegger getting fired from The Apprentice or whatever it's called in America. So if you don't think he's going to talk about a guy who kneeled because of a national anthem / a flag, then you're living in Cloud Cuckoo land. Of course he is. I mean, he's got nothing better to do. I mean, all them weekends he's got off, he needs to do something, right? You know, is he talented? I don't know anymore. He was talented, but he was talented because he was coached correctly. You know, he has an excellent coach in Jim Harbaugh. Let's be brutally honest. For the past 3 years, if not more, he hasn't had a very good coach. And Chip Kelly may be a talented college coach, but he's not a talented NFL coach. So if Colin Kaepernick got into the right situation, he might be okay, but he's not a starter. But then again, neither's Mike Glennon, neither's Josh McCown, neither's Matt Barkley, neither's or shouldn't be shouldn't be starters. Do you know what I mean? But they are. So that's why people look and go, well, Colin Kaepernick could do that job. Yeah, but he couldn't do it in the same way that they do it. Because there's, you know, again, NFL conservatives, small, so you don't like change, like a certain style of quarterback, and Colin Kaepernick doesn't fit in that. Do I look and think, why is he not the backup in Carolina? Well, yeah, I do. Because I think he could do the same job that Cam Newton does, and he's better than Derek Anderson. But that's just my opinion. But that's one team. You know, like, for example, Washington and Philadelphia, I'm going to bring him in as a backup because he doesn't run anywhere near the same kind of scheme that those two teams run. So you're narrowing down the options. But also, neither of those two teams are going to bring him in because their owners are Jeffrey Lurie and Dan Snyder. So it doesn't. There's two reasons why he's not getting a job. And we can be outraged about it. And we should be because, you know, in theory, what we're saying, is he one of the top 64 quarterbacks on the planet? Well, yes, he is. Is he not got a job? No, he hasn't. But that's how it works, and unfortunately, that's how free market economics works.
I mean, let's say he's not literally. I said this at the time. He was an athlete who played quarterback. He was not an athletic quarterback. He's got an absolute cannon for an arm. We know this. However, he's got no touch on it. It's literally the speeds of his ball are stuff in my hand while I'm being sacked, or 300 miles an hour down the field. Well, that's if you're 10 yards away from him, you're catching that, or it's killing you. If you're streaking down the field, assuming he's had the time and the vision to see it, well, yeah, you know, it's 50-50 quid in. But ultimately, is he a West Coast quarterback? No. Could he do what they want in Carolina? As I say, if Cam Newton went down, yes. But then we get the issue: is he going to take league minimum to go and sit behind Cam Newton? And do the Panthers want to say we get enough crap with Cam drawing attention to himself? Are we going to have this now with the backup now going to get looked at? He's a distraction, and I'm not saying it's, entirely, he's brought a lot of it on himself. I mean, you wouldn't let your hair grow that long if you weren't an attention seeker. But the distraction comes with him, and it's the same with Tim Tebow, it's the same with Jake Cutler, it's the same with Tony Romo. You don't sign these players, you're signing a situation. It was the same with Michael Vick to an extent as well. If it was a case of sign him, get him in, and get him learning the playbook, that's great. Pay the minimum, pay what you want. That's not the situation with Colin Kaepernick.
I've never heard Brian Hoyer talk, and he's been a starting quarterback at 2 NFL teams. So I assume teams would rather have Brian Hoyer than Colin Kaepernick. Because Colin Kaepernick's got an opinion, and people don't like opinions.
Well, Brian Hoyer is, he's a good soldier, and worth noting, what team did he come up through?
Yeah, New England Patriots.
What team drafted him, or UDFA? Yeah, the Patriots. Come in, shut up, do your job.
Exactly, Dutton, exactly. Let's move on, Dutton. So, Dutton, we have a new team or a new team name, and that is the Las Vegas Raiders. It's a couple of years away, but it's happening. The question I have, and I'll start on this one, how do we stop? Like, everyone moans about the same thing every single time. Why does this happen? Why does public money get used? But do you know why, people? Because people allow it to happen. This is unfortunately the way of the world. It's the same thing with people moaning about ticket prices. If you don't like a ticket price, don't buy it. And then let everybody else not buy it, and then prices will be reduced. You gave some stats today, which I'm sure you'll give us in a minute, about how much the Raiders are actually going to pay for their stadium. If someone offered anyone that kind of deal, you would snap their hand off. Is it unfortunate for Oakland? Absolutely. It's outrageous and it shouldn't be allowed to happen. But the problem is, there's a public financier somewhere willing for it to happen. If all of local government is ridiculous, because like California's 5 times the size of Britain. But if all of those areas all got together and said, we're not financing anything ever again, then you wouldn't have this situation. The problem is, Las Vegas are willing to do it. So the NFL has got this, but is in this world. It would never happen in the UK. The thought of there was like literally the heads exploded when Everton were moving from like Liverpool, quote unquote, to Knowsley, quote unquote, which for people who don't know, I swear down, is 3 miles in a straight line and has the most Scouse people in the Knowsley bit more than the people in the Everton bit. It's insanity, and like literally people were going to set things on fire. So the thought of them moving, thousands of miles is never going to happen.
Yeah, it's as I say, it's money. It's the Andrew Brandt, the business of sports. The question is asked in the title: why do some of our teams make the moves they do? It's usually the money. And as I say, I'll bring up the stats. This stadium that is going to be built in Las Vegas, not named yet, but presumably it'll be some sponsor stadium, is going to cost $1.9 billion to build. That is made up of $750 million from the state of Nevada, $650 million from the Bank of America, and $500 million that the Raiders are going to have to put in. Now, that sounds like the Raiders are chipping in, but $200 million of that is going to come from the NFL Stadium Upgrade Fund. They'll make $250 million selling PSLs, or personal seat licenses, and they'll have to put in $50 million of their own cash. They are getting a $1.9 billion stadium for $50 million. Why wouldn't you do this?
And the thing as well,
it's a business.
And the thing as well on that is, if it's $50 million, that's a lot of money. Yeah, the Raiders, as every franchise does, makes like $400 million from the flipping TV deal. So it's actually impossible. It's like impossible not to do this deal. I don't want to sound. We don't want to sound crass on this. It's terrible for Oakland, and it shouldn't be allowed to happen. This is a fundamental position on this always. I don't want it to happen, but it does because of the way of the world. And until we change the way of the world, it's not going to stop. So you need the NFL to put their hands in their own arse pocket. Never going to happen if someone else will pay. You need, governments, city councils, whatever, to say, I'm not doing that. I need to pay for, food and education. Well, for whatever, they won't do that because they see money on the other side. And we disagree on this, because you don't like Vegas or even the concept of it. I can now not think of a better place to spend my 40th birthday than Super Bowl 2020 in Vegas. I may die, but what a way to go. I'm 40, what's left for me?
It's not just, I personally hate it. I hate the relocations. It's because I'm still calling them the St. Louis Rams. It's been a year, for Christ's sake. I'm going to keep calling them the San Diego Chargers. I keep calling him David Carr. It's the way my brain works. Christ, I was still calling them Marathon Bars in 1992 and Starburst and Opal Fruits and whatnot. It's how my brain works. I personally it's not going to happen. I'd like the NFL to say, no, that's it. No more relocation proposals will be listened to for 10 years, because they went 20 years without moving, and now 3 teams have moved in 14 months. No. To quote Picard, the line must be drawn here. This far, no further.
It is too far, and I agree with you. But unfortunately, if a city sees a money-making opportunity and sees the NFL franchise as that kind of money-making opportunity, this will happen again. You look now at the places that have just lost teams: St. Louis, Oakland, San Diego. They'll want to be back in that market. When it's gone for a couple of years, they'll realise how much they miss it, and they'll want it back. And that's unfortunately the way of the world. Final one, Dutton. Final one, Dutton, is one you wanted to bring up, and it's a wider conversation, but we're going to focus on a singular player, and that's Joe Mixon. He's the running back from Oklahoma who, beat the shit out of his girlfriend in a restaurant, and then on camera, and Oklahoma hid it for 18 months. So talk about it all.
Well, basically, under the new policy, players who have charges or have been, found guilty of domestic assault or abuse incidents are not invited to the NFL Combine. Once they become eligible for draft. And Joe Mixon seems to have basically, he's a very good player. If you go into the RB Prospect Lab app on RotoViz, I've got to plug the Viz, obviously. They're putting food on my table. You type in, his, average carries per game in his college career, his touchdowns, how many receptions he had. You actually look and see the names that come up as comps. And some of these names are Le'Veon Bell, probably, arguably one of the best running backs in the NFL at the moment. Adrian Peterson, certainly the best running back of the last 20 years. Ray Rice, a very good running back. All of them have had off-the-field concerns, and of course 2 of them have had domestic violence concerns. So under the way it goes now, say they'd done that and then came out of college, they wouldn't get invited. But we do know that Adrian Peterson was welcomed back eventually with open arms by the Minnesota Vikings, not when he got old and slow, because he was still an effective player. Ray Rice has never, ever taken another snap in the NFL because he was averaging 3.2 yards per carry when this video came out of him punching his girlfriend. Superior talent breeds superior tolerance. Joe Mixon is a wonderful player, wonderful prospect, I apologise. But there's already teams falling over themselves to say they won't draft him because of the moral high ground. Tyreek Hill getting crap out of his misses. No one seems to mention it. Someone is going to take Joe Mixon. I don't know when. I mean, some people are saying it comes back again to the distraction thing. I personally don't want someone like that on my team because I don't think I think, he made a mistake when he was 18. A mistake. Okay. Right. I still disagree with Mohamed Amir playing cricket for a mistake he made when he was 17. But he's very talented, so he got another chance. So my issue is, it's hard for me to say, but there's teams coming out here trying to take the moral high ground. Are you telling me these same teams, he comes into the NFL, he has 3 years, really good, 3 really good years, his free agent comes up, these teams will then try and sign him? And it's hypocrisy that really bothers me.
I think if we look at what you've said, Dutton, we look at the 4 players, I guess: Tyreek Hill, Ray Rice, Adrian Peterson, Joe Mixon. You mentioned that Ray Rice was doing 3.2 yards a carry, but so were loads. The difference between Ray Rice and Joe Mixon and Tyreek Hill and Adrian Peterson, one thing: it's a video. It's an actual physical video of the act that they committed. People know that Adrian Peterson did that. People know that Tyreek Hill did that. He was arrested, whatever. But there's no video evidence of it. There is literally a video evidence of a man knocking out a woman in 2 situations, and that's why they are fundamentally different. It's one of them. He made a mistake when he was 18. The biggest mistake we ever made was like serving someone a tea instead of a coffee so we could drink it in the Häagen-Dazs. You know what I mean? That's a mistake. Like not beating up a girl when you are a 240 £240 running back who's at the gym 6 days a week, and your job is to be an athlete. That's not an act. Yeah. It's not a small accident. Now, do I think that if remorse is shown and you know change, that people can't change? I do think that. I'm not saying he should never be allowed a job anywhere in the world. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that actions have consequences, and that consequences should be punishable somehow. And him not being invited to the combine is not really a punishable act. You know, him not being drafted and then being an undrafted free agent and earning less money than he would do, is that enough? I don't know. I don't know what's enough done. I look at it and think one of the major teams that I've saw that I'm going to draft them is the New England Patriots. Now, obviously, the New England Patriots are known for the way that the franchise is run and how they think about players and how it's team ethic first. They had one bad apple that they knew nothing about and no one knew anything about. And boy, was he a bad apple. And he's still in the news now, and that's Aaron Hernandez. But it doesn't surprise me that a team like the Patriots are like, I'm not for this guy. Because in their head, his act is not just beating up a woman, which is disgusting. It's selfish. And it's selfish because it seriously affects the team. So that didn't just affect Joe Mixon, the person. It didn't obviously just affect Joe Mixon's girlfriend. It technically affected Oklahoma and the university. And if he does that there, then the Patriots and other franchises absolutely don't. As you said, teams are falling over and will say, well, no, because he's selfish and I don't want him in my team. The problem is there's a load of franchises who will not give a crap and will draft him in the 3rd round or the 2nd round because, you know what? People forgot about Tyreek Hill, so it'll be fine. But you need to, if you do that, it's exactly the same as the Kaepernick situation. You need to be able to deal with the consequences. Now, why those teams will be able to deal with the consequences is if after 4 weeks he's got 450 yards and 3 touchdowns, no one will remember, unfortunately, because that's the way the NFL works. Because talent does some character for 80% of the league.
Yeah, if he's got 5 games in, he's got 75 rushing yards at 0.4 yards per carry, it'll be the wife beater.
Correct.
But as you say, if he's putting up Zeke Elliott type numbers, no one will mind.
You know, in theory, you know, if you look at the Tyreek Hill situation, it was brought up in the draft. It was quiet. He then became, you know, a sensation really for the Chiefs, and it was like, how amazing is Tyreek Hill? And then, you know, every 4 tweet was like, don't forget, and that's what Joe Mixon will be, exactly the same. You know, I hope he's reformed, and I hope he's seeking whatever help he needs. But there is no situation where that is a mistake. It's just unacceptable. I've never punched a man, never mind a woman. Do you know what I mean? And I just don't get the mindset, and I don't get how you got to that place.
And the scary thought is that, you know, he could be put in a position where he's going to be given guaranteed hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. And then, you know, got this sense of entitlement that he clearly already has, because he thinks he at one time thought that was an acceptable way to behave. Well, money opens an awful lot of doors. So, you know, I just wish it was about playing the game. I just wish the whole thing was about playing the game.
I looked at and you know, we talked about 2 players, and I don't want either of them on my team. But if I'm brutally honest, I'm scared one of them will be.
Yeah.
Do you know? And I think both of us can be more scared that Joe Mixon's on the franchise than Colin Kaepernick.
Oh, I'm not worried about that at all. But, you know, it's almost like the associative guilt you have that if he rushes for 200 yards and you beat Dallas on a last-minute touchdown, you almost feel sometimes like, am I right to be happy about this because of how we did it? And it shouldn't be like that. It should be the team. It shouldn't be the team and him won.
Yeah. You're setting yourself up in a world that you just don't want to be in, I think is the best.
I mean, the way to obviously get round it is to just be crap forever and not have to worry about them winning.
Yeah, true. Very true. Very true. So they were the 3 topics this week, guys. We're going to talk draft next week. Got a couple of guests in the pipeline, and we're going to get a deep dive because we are literally less than 4 weeks away. Done. It's 4 weeks tomorrow, is it? 4 weeks tomorrow.
Yes, it is.
4 weeks tomorrow, the draft. So a lot of names, a lot of pro days going on, and we need to talk to some bigger experts on the draft than us, and we will do next week. But we thought we've been ranting about this between ourselves via text, so we thought we'd give you guys a listen, see what you thought. Dutton, any last thoughts? Do you want to plug the fact that you were on City Talk today?
Yeah, I was on City Talk, speaking about the Oakland Raiders situation. Always nice, to basically, I didn't force myself on that. I didn't ring them up. They got in touch with me. Friend Dave Downey got in touch with me and asked me to come on. So it's nice that I can spread my gospel, as it were. I've had a few articles out at RotoViz this week about smaller, more unheard of wide receiver prospects, and that I think fantasy football wise going forward they should be names you could remember. And I had another one out with Gridiron Experts today saying that basically forget about Randall Cobb, those days are over. So read them, check them out, and if you disagree with them, at me. I like funny tweets.
Yeah, don't disagree with me. That's weird because you'd be wrong. But that's it, and we will see you all next week.